Hello, my beautiful people. What's up? What's up, y'all? It's your girl Danet. I hope all is well with everybody. Um, so God has been pushing me. God has been pushing me to do this for a while, and I'm excited and nervous to share this with you all. Um, so I tell people all the time to, or I tell people now all the time to be careful. Be careful with how you treat me because my story is still being written. Be careful with how you treat me because my story is still being written. Now, as I said, God has been pushing me to do this for months now. God has been pushing me to do this for months now. When I say months, I mean months. Okay? And I've been hesitant for so many different reasons. I've been hesitant for so many different reasons, right? But ultimately, it was the people pleasing energy. I was hesitant because I was overly considerate and overly worried about what this person would think, what that person would say, how that person would feel, what that person believed, how that person would treat me. I was overly worried and considering all the wrong things, but the reality is that each individual person that I've had a chance to experience are the ones that had the power to decide over how they would be written into my story. They are the ones who determine how they're going to be written in my story. And once I shifted my mindset into that perspective, everything started to make sense. My story is my story, and can't nobody take that away from me. And that has really pushed me to be here before y'all right now. So be patient with your girl. But I'm gonna share with y'all this testimony because I know it's needed. I know it's needed. Not even for just anyone out there. It's needed for me to speak my truth and to be honest about who I am and what I've gone through and what I've experienced, so I can get to where God is asking me to go. So that I can get to where God is asking me to go. But in me telling my story, I had to constantly remind myself that in me telling any part of my story that involves someone else, that's not me telling who someone else is. That's just me telling my experience with who that person was with me, right? Because they say one person holds many titles, right? So you might have a damn good father, but he might be a terrible uncle, right? Or he might be a bad brother, right? But that's one man, but he's uncle, brother, father, and son, right? And so I had to shift my mindset into that perspective. But I'm excited. I'm excited to share this with y'all. So I grew up when I was little. Up until about the age of 5, I stayed with my mom. My mom's a single parent. And I stayed with my mom. And my mom, even though she was a single parent of 4, pregnant with her 5th child, my mom was very good about allowing her children to be. She allowed us to, be free, right? There was structure and disciplines, right? But for the most part, she allowed us to be free. She kind of maneuvered through who we were individually, right? It's one of the reasons I love my mom, right? Because she allowed us to be. And then when I was about 5, almost 6, we moved with my dad and my stepmom. And so there was this big transition. Big transition, right, of going from a single parent household to a 2-parent household. In this 2-parent household, there were also new siblings meeting for the first time. There were new siblings I'm meeting for the first time. There were new siblings that I was expected to just kind of adjust to and become comfortable with, right? These were complete strangers to me, though, right? But in this household, what my dad said, it went. What my dad said was law. What my dad said, it had to go, right? There was no excuse, no exceptions, period. And so my dad's very narcissistic. And he's extremely controlling, right, and manipulative. So adjusting from a household where you're allowed to be this free child, essentially to maneuver how you feel necessary, right, within reason, of course, to a household where you're being overly controlled. Everyone and everything is demanding something and needing something of you. And then this extremely narcissistic and manipulative energy that came with it as well. Massive adjustment, right? And so, as I said, what my dad said was law. And so whenever the parents weren't home, the elder siblings had full responsibility to enforce the law of the land, right? They had full responsibility to enforce the law of the land, which was whatever my dad said. Whatever my dad said must go. And so there was a lot of, as I said, manipulation tactics that would happen. And so unknowingly, like when I was living with my mom, like I had a very high trust in myself, right? I was certain things that I would say or I would do where I had a full and complete trust within who I was and how I moved and how I carried myself. And so when I moved with my dad and my stepmom, it got to a point to where slowly but surely that trust that I had in myself slowly went away, right? I'm around all this manipulation and controlling tactics and things, right? And so slowly but surely, you don't even realize that it's happening at the time. But slowly but surely, you're being manipulated, you're being controlled into like this mindset of thinking that the thoughts you're having are wrong. The thoughts you're having are crazy. The thoughts you're having are weird, right? And so it got to a point to where slowly but surely, when you got 11, 12, 13 other people telling you that you're crazy for thinking a thought, you're the only one having the thought, right? And these people are telling you that you're crazy for thinking that way, or that you're weird, or that you're just trying to be extra. You just always want to, right? That whole little manipulation. And it was because these people saw something within me that I didn't see within myself yet. I hadn't yet seen it yet. I hadn't yet fully recognized and understood what it was yet. And so slowly but surely, I was manipulated into and out of different things, right? So, for instance, I had this sister who, she was extremely manipulative. She always wanted to have her way. It was her way or the highway. And my sister literally would, whenever I would tell her no, whenever I would tell her I didn't want to do something, she would try to manipulate the scenario or the situation to force me to still have to do whatever the thing was. So again, the siblings, elder siblings, had full responsibility, full authority whenever the parents weren't home. So, for instance, if she wanted me to go put on a pot of water for her so she can have some ramen noodles for lunch, and I told her no, she literally would keep a mental note and say, okay, because technically she knows that she can't do anything to me for telling her no, I don't want to put her on a pot of water, right? But we had chores in the house. And so if at any point in time your chores weren't done and the parents weren't at home, elder siblings, you see how it keeps coming back to elder siblings, they had the full authority and responsibility to enforce whatever the rules, the law of the land was. And they oftentimes misused and abused it. They misused and abused it according to whatever it is that they wanted and needed us to do. And so she literally would keep mental notes whenever you would tell her no, you don't want to do something or whatever it was. She would keep mental notes, and then So my chore oftentimes was like the hallway. I had to sweep the hallway and the stairs, pick the trash up. That was my chore for the day. And so if she came out of her room and saw trash in the floor, or somebody laid their shoes in the hallway, or some stuff like that, she literally would come and find me. Come and find me and slap me, or punch me, or hit me, or do something intentionally to me to harm me, whether it would be physically or mentally, right? Psychologically, she would do that. And so when my dad would get home, I would tell my dad, like, she hit me for no reason. Like, she was abusing me while you were gone. And she would manipulate the story and say what she was doing was making sure that the house was clean. I wasn't being obedient. I wasn't following the rules. I wasn't doing what I was supposed to have been doing. Right? There was another time where I had a brother who literally stumped me. Kid you not. Kid you not. I'm not making this up. I had a brother who literally stumped me because I did not want to make him a pack of ramen noodles for him to eat for lunch. There was nothing wrong with him. His hands and legs worked just fine. As a matter of fact, if I'm remembering correctly, he came from downstairs to come upstairs to find me, to beat me up because I wouldn't cook him no ramen noodles. You walked past the kitchen, up the stairs, into my bedroom to come stomp me in the head, stomp me in the face, because I wouldn't make you some ramen noodles for you to eat for your lunch. And when I went and told my dad, only thing my dad said was, "You can't be stomping your sister in the face, man." I kid you not. I kid you not, y'all. I kid you not. But it got to a point to where the manipulation was so terrible, it made you second guess and question everything at this point. Right? And so I'm in high school now. And I'm in 9th grade. Hey. I'm in 9th grade. And I made it to, it was either like city. I don't remember if it was city or if it was sub-state. But I made it in long jump my first year. And I got to the end and I psyched myself out. I literally psyched myself out. I got to the end and psyched myself out, and my coach looked at me and he told me, he said, "You're going to have to work on trusting yourself." He said, "You're going to have to work on believing in yourself." And I was so insulted when he said that to me. I was like, I do trust myself. I do believe in myself. Right? But in hindsight, from this perspective that I have now, it's like I didn't. But at that time, it was like I was insulted by the fact that you would even think to tell me some stuff like that, right? But it's almost like the essence of you swimming in so many lies and confusion and deceit and manipulation and narcissistic things that you don't even realize what's going on. You don't even realize what's happening. Right? And then so later on, I go to college, right? I go to college, I'm like, yeah, I'm about to try out for the track team. Right? I'm about to make it on the track team. I'm going to be good. Right? That was one of the things that I always said I wanted to do. Try out for track. When I go to college, I psyched myself out before I ever even tried. I psyched myself out. Before I ever went to any tryouts, I psyched myself out. Right? Same freshman year, right? And I promise it's going to all come together, y'all. But I psyched myself out, right? So, also my freshman year in college, I was in the cafeteria eating, minding my business, and this guy comes up to me. Very nice man, nice gentleman. I feel like he was like a junior or something like that, if I'm remembering. But he asked me out. He was very respectful, and I remember just being so so shocked because if I recall, he was like a football player or something like that, but he was very respectful. He wasn't this imagery that people paint of, how football players are or how they approach it. But anyway, very nice, very respectable. And it got to the night he was supposed to take me out, and he was getting ready to come and pick me up, and I canceled on this man. Last minute, this man had made it to the dorm. He was outside waiting on me, and I canceled on this man. I canceled on this man. I canceled on him because I was worried about what my daddy was going to think. I was worried about what my siblings was going to think. I was worried about how this person was going to think, feel, what that person believed. I was worried about everybody else. Again, people pleasing energies, right? All of these things caused me to be in my head. All of these things caused me to second guess and question who I was. All of these things caused me to not believe in the true power of my own being, right? And so every decision that I have been making up until that point in my life, it hit me by my freshman year, right? That, wow, I literally do base all of my opinions, thoughts, beliefs, and everything on what the next person is going to think, what the next person is going to feel, how the next person is going to react or respond. And then so in 2015, I started doing yoga and I started meditating. And this is when I really figured it out. Like, I was terrible. I was terrible at allowing my own self to have a thought. I was terrible at allowing my own self to think for myself, right? So to go from being this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old little girl who was completely comfortable and okay with thinking for herself, speaking for herself, doing for herself wholeheartedly, right? I was my mama's little helper. I helped her cook, clean, iron, fold, wash clothes, everything, right? So to go from that person who was so sure of herself to somebody where I'm in college and it's 2014 and 2015 and I can't have a thought without thinking what the next person is going to feel, think, believe, or respond to me because of a thought that I was having about something that was making me happy or would bring me peace or to make me feel fulfilled. I mean, so in 2016, I started meditating I got serious about it, I'll say. I had tried it several times in 2015, but in 2016, I got serious about it. And I started to notice that I was very uncomfortable with sitting with myself. Because in high school, in middle school, I was the one who was helping with homework and studying. I was the one who was making sure that things around the house was in order. So they left little time for Denetria. They left very little time for Denetria. I was a little parent at a young age, right? And so when I got to college, I had nothing but time, right? I got to college, I had nothing but time. When I got out of class and I did my homework, I had nothing but time on my hands. And I didn't know what to do with it. The fact that I had so much time, listen to me, y'all. I had so much time. I did not know what to do with the time that I had, right? It was the essence of the power of my being scared the shit out of me. How powerful that I was starting to realize I was scared the shit out of me. I didn't have anything to cover it up with. I couldn't go mask it with, I'm going to just go help this person with this or do this for this person. I literally had to sit with myself. Right? And so fast forward to 2021. This is when it really hit home for me, y'all. So 2021, in 2021, I have been doing yoga, meditating, right? All these things, rebuilding the confidence and things like that within myself. 2021, I met this guy during one of my childhood friends, her wedding. It was on January 1st, y'all. Beginning top part of the year. So, January 1st, I met this guy, and listen to me, y'all, this is why it's so important to be able to see yourself, know yourself, understand yourself, be confident in who you are. I met this guy on January 1st. January 2nd was my niece's birthday, or is my niece's birthday. She had a birthday party, but the party ran long. We were supposed to go out on a date. But we had to reschedule because her party ran late. We're on January 3rd. He had to reschedule because he was a teacher. And so he had work he needs to get done before the next day school was starting back. Cool. That Tuesday, which is day 5 of me knowing this man, something in my spirit was not sitting right about him. Everything was seemingly right. Right? He was handsome. He was tall. He was pretty physically fit and in shape. He was respectable, and you know what I'm saying, little things like that. But it was something in my spirit that was not sitting right with me. And so Tuesday, I randomly, which is day 5, y'all, I randomly told this man, you know, no thank you. I don't want anything else to do with you. You know, I told him as nicely as I knew how to tell him, right? But I basically told him, you know, I'm not interested. Like, I don't think I'm in a space or a place, you know, to be dating or whatever. Whatever the hell I told him. I don't remember. Anyway, I respectfully cut it off with him. And then Thursday, I go out to dinner with my sister. And we're sitting at the dinner table. I'm telling her about the whole experience. And she's like, no, Denitra, you wrong. She like, you shouldn't have done that. She was like, why you cut him off? Why you do this? She was like, he sounds like a good guy and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, I know, but I was like, something in my spirit just wasn't sitting right. So I was just like, I just had to cut him off. I said, because I said it was something that I can't put my finger on it. I just said, I know it ain't right. So she was just like, nah, I feel like you should give him another chance. She was like, you be cutting people off so fast and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, cool. So after dinner, I ended up calling him, right? So we're at day 7 now. I called him and we had a conversation. More red flags. Listen to me. More red flags. More red flags came up in the conversation, right? And so instead of me immediately cutting him off this time, I gave it a day or 2 to think about it. But by Saturday, which would have been day 9, my beauties, day 9, this man had lied to me. I caught him in a lie, and he still kept lying. And I was like, okay. Day 9, I was like, done. Like, if you're lying to me and you don't even know me to be lying to me, no. This is an absolute no for me. And so I cut him off. When I tell you on day 10, this man was blowing my phone up, texting me, going off, going crazy. Now, in his defense, I know that, hold on y'all, just a second. Leave me alone. So this is day 10, y'all. This man is going off. This man is hollering. He's talking to me crazy, right? And in his defense, I did cut him off unexpectedly. And then come back to him, right? I did do that, right? So it's like, in his defense, I understand that. So I don't want to dismiss that. But that's exactly the point. Because I chose to ignore my own gut. Because I chose to ignore my own instincts. Because I chose to ignore and go against what I knew I was being led to do. Because I chose to ignore the guidance and the clarity that I had already received. Even if I didn't have actual evidence, right? Physical evidence. Even if I didn't have physical evidence, I went against me and chose to listen to someone else over me. And I was the one who ended up getting hollered at, cussed out, talked to crazy, mistreated, head was hurt. Like, nigga. Right? So, in that moment, I realized, like, I had to realize, like, my gut is the truth. My gut is the fact. My gut is the information. My gut is everything that I need. The physical evidence will always reveal itself eventually, whether it takes a year or 30 years. It will eventually come to light. But trusting your gut and going with what your gut is leading you to is always the answer. And it was just like, it was amazing how in that moment all of that clicked for me. Just realizing how I had given everybody else, I'm talking about friends, family members, loved ones, whoever, I had given everybody else so much power over how I thought, over how I felt, over how what I believed, over how I moved, over how I carried myself. I had given everybody else so much power over how I moved from one day to the next. I had given so much power to everybody else. And the reality that God was trying to open my eyes to is that I am a powerful being. I am powerful as hell. And it was like everybody else saw it but me. I didn't see my own light. I didn't see my own truth. I didn't see my own confidence. I didn't see my own strength. I didn't see my own. Everybody else saw it. Everybody else saw my truth. Everybody else saw my light. Everybody else saw my confidence. Everybody else saw my power. Everybody else saw my talents. Everybody else saw my gifts. Everybody else saw the things that I was capable of. But me. But me. How everybody else see it but me? I literally ran into an old college teammate earlier this year, a few months ago. And I feel like it was back in like April. And nope, it was May. But I ran into her a few months ago. And when I told her, I was like, yeah, I do tarot and I'm a yoga instructor and, meditation, blah, blah, blah. She literally told me, she was like, oh. She's like, that makes sense. She was like, because you were always able to see things in a way that other people couldn't see them. She was like, you was always able to see things that other people couldn't see. And I'm just like, what? I'm like, everybody saw it but me. I'm like, literally, y'all, I'm so mind blown. Because I'm like, everybody saw it but me. Everybody saw it. Everybody saw how strong and confident and beautiful and brilliant and amazing I was but me. I'm just living in this little bubble. Whoo! But you best believe. You best believe. Because I'm now currently in a space where if you can't, listen to me, as cocky as this gonna sound, most people can't afford a picture of me. Where the hell God is getting ready to take me, where the hell I'm getting ready to go, what God is doing in my life, how God is moving all around me right now. Most people are not going to be able to afford a fucking picture of me. Understand me, my beauties. Understand me. I was slept on. I was slept on by me. I was slept on by me. I slept on myself. I slept on myself. I'm woke now. I'm woke now. I'm woke now. Thanks for listening. Peace and love all. Deuces.